He then asked about like, oh, so is your girlfriend a lesbian then? Wow, end of Trans Awareness Week. I'm already late. I'm very sorry guys, but let's just get into the video because so many cool things have happened for this Trans Awareness Week and it's definitely needed. Hey there my dudes, I am Laddie and welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to be speaking about awareness, and I know it can get boring. People kind of want me to do like my funny stuff. I will get back to that. I have some really cool stuff planned, but uni has just made me postpone all of my videos that I kind of made over summer, and I haven't even been able to edit any of them yet. So there will be some cool stuff coming around the Christmas period. I promise, and I'm gonna make that promise to myself, that I'm actually gonna put some time aside for my degree. But in this video, I am speaking about a little event I went to with Beyond Retro, which is a clothing company. They have a store in London and Brighton and other places, and they invited me down to their store in London to have a little event that I would be speaking at. And you guys know that I recently did a MAC event with Gender Swap and the MAC Carnaby store and stuff like that, which I vlogged, but I was really excited to get sort of invited to this other thing because it was for a charity, for this charity called ELOP, and they are basically sort of, it's both mental health services and just support for trans, like youth, or just trans people in general, not necessarily youth, and they were raising money for this charity, so I will put the link of the charity down below if you want to send any money or support over, just whatever you can, or just share it because that really helps. So I actually have a little vlog of my time in London. I went down to get my, in the first place, I actually was going down anyway that day for my 1 year post-op photos, and I think I'm gonna make a whole different video about that, but it was pretty crazy. Later in the day, I went and I said a few words about expression, open expression, and me being myself, how I've come to terms with being myself as a trans person, both online, in real life, whatever, in my expression. And here's a few words that I actually said in my vlog.
Big round of applause to Tobias Norman.
Hello everyone, so I have not prepared, but I thought that that's the best way because I don't want anything to seem scripted because, I mean, my life isn't scripted and we've all dealt with different things, whether you're being an ally or you yourself are LGBT, especially for Trans Awareness Week. And so I just wanted to speak about, first off, myself. As you said, I am Tobias Norman. Toby, if you want to come up and ask any questions after, please feel free to. And I, a few years ago, started YouTube as an LGBT YouTuber. And well, I didn't start it that way. I wanted to be a gamer, but that didn't turn out because I realised I'm very awkward and no one wants to watch me for an hour say nothing in front of a game. So I made a first video speaking about who I was, and I got this amazing response. It obviously started off all positive from my very close friends telling me that they cried watching the video, and then I started getting negative responses, but that was bound to happen. But I myself had never really realised until later who I was, what my sexuality was and everything like that. But when I made that first video, it was a confirmation of who I was, and since then I've been speaking about my life as a trans man who's also pansexual, and documenting my journey, especially my transition, making all sorts of weird, very dramatic documentaries on me having top surgery and me taking testosterone. And I realised recently I've always kind of wanted to stay out of being the activist role, and I realised when I was on YouTube and people started commenting that me speaking about this kind of stuff made them feel less alone, I realised how actually important it was. And this year, especially as we're speaking about expression, fashion, clothing, being yourself for the end of Trans Awareness Week, I realised that how much I've changed since the beginning of my transition in expression and feeling open about myself and people letting me know that I can express myself anywhere I want and it doesn't devalue who I am at all. I started off, I'd say about a year and a half ago, wearing the most, what I would call mundane clothing in my personal opinion, because it wasn't who I was. And I think the clothing was wrong for me, but I felt like that is what men would wear. That is what I thought men would wear or should wear, what other people would, it would help me pass better. And I definitely would say that since then I am almost a completely different person, is in how confident I am, not in who I am. And I have now started a makeup Instagram where I do makeup art. I want to start doing drag because that would be great. I will come up with drag names later, it'll be fabulous. And I express myself with vintage clothing. When I walked into this store, I've never realised that this is the perfect place for me. And I think I've found who I am now, and I'm just here for the ride with everyone else who's here in the community. And especially when I come down to London, I have never felt more welcome and happy to speak to people who are like me or who are not like me, but accept me. And I think one of the reasons I definitely wanted to come down this week is because ELOP, the charity we are trying to fundraise for tonight, especially to do with mental health in the trans community. I haven't shared that journey my own online, but I think it is very, very important because I know a lot of friends and family members who have had to deal with certain things like this that needed help from charities like ELOP. And also in my everyday life, in my physics degree that I'm doing, I know I look like an artist, but let's just get over that. I do actually do physics. But I definitely had some issues in my physics degree with my expression. People would say, why don't you wear that? That looks weird. That looks like something a woman would wear. Which I took as a compliment because it meant they didn't think I was a woman, but in general it shouldn't be taken as a compliment, because you saying to someone who you think is, at least who you think is a cis man, you shouldn't be saying that is something a woman should wear, because expression is whatever you want it to be, and the world is going to make it hard, but you've just got to keep going. And the more you keep going, the more confident that you are, the less people are going to ridicule you in the long run, I think, because if we all stand together, then it's harder for them to batter us down. And I would like to end it on a more positive note, rather than speaking about the prejudices of other people. I would like to say that everyone here, you guys, I'm happy for you guys to be here, happy for you guys to be listening to me speak. I don't know why you guys want to hear me speak. I'm sure you guys have very interesting stories as well that you guys could be speaking about. But thank you all for coming, and be yourself, as I'm sure you guys already know.
So I didn't have anything planned, I just kind of spoke from the heart. I was nervous, but they gave me some wine, so it was fine. I got wine drunk and said the speech, so I was less nervous. But everything I said there really did mean something, and everyone came up to me, and I've met so many lovely people. Everyone came up to me and they were like, wow, your speech was inspiring. And I didn't think it was necessarily, because I was just rambling as I usually do, but I think it really meant something. And so I kind of I did mention a little bit in the speech, but it is very true that no matter what it seems like if I hang around a lot of LGBT people or online or whatever, it seems like there's a whole bunch of progress is made. There doesn't need to be any more progress. Awareness doesn't really need to be raised. But then I was going to say a little story time. Actually, the week before this whole event happened, there was so many things that were happening with people in my life that I realized, actually, yeah, it's very important to have more trans awareness, because people have no clue what they're talking about when they happen to run into a tran in the wild. This is a little story time about my university life. And in my university life, I'm stealth, or at least people think I'm gay or whatever, or bisexual. They know that I'm queer, but I'm stealth in the trans sense. Never doing this again, and it's annoying that I have to say I'm never going to do this again. But someone the other day, we were speaking about my tattoo here, and this is my first tattoo I ever got. It's my transition tattoo, and I said, yeah, this is really symbolic about you know, a hardship I've been through in my life. And he goes, what are you? You may be older than me, but you're only 20. You haven't been through much. And people kept mentioning it, and it just got on my nerves. So one of the people in my workshop group, if they do watch this, then I'm not going to say your name at all. This is just, you know, me having a rant on the internet. And I doubt they will, because they don't really know my YouTube. So, but yeah, one of the people in my workshop group, I actually said to them, oh, that's because when I was 8, like, I have been through a lot, because when I was 18, I was physically, at least, a woman. And his face, he just was like, what, you were, but you've got facial hair, but your jawline is like, and your voice, and you've got like, so you were, he like broke. I've never seen a man break in his life, but I did see it that day. And like, if it comes up naturally in conversation, I don't hide that I'm trans, right? Like, for example, that one, I'd been trying to skirt around the whole thing that I'm trans, because I mention it to my other friends, because anyone who I want to keep in my life, I mention it to, because if they don't like it, then they can fuck off. But like, then I, pretty soon after telling him, like, and he was like, I explained, oh, it's testosterone, it helps you transition. Pretty soon after telling him, he then proceeded to ask every possible question that a trans person hates to be asked, like the no question. So he first asked me, so have you got a penis or vagina? I was like, I don't really want to answer that question, but for your curiosity's sake, I haven't had any of the lower surgeries at all. Not like you need to know or anything, but I was just like, why not? We're in Sharing Central today. And then he basically proceeded to ask all these other questions. At the time, I had a girlfriend, so this is only like a few weeks ago, but so he then asked about like, oh, so is your girlfriend a lesbian then? And I said, think about that for a minute. You didn't think that I was, you know, a trans person, or at least, or you didn't think that I was biologically a woman until I just told you right now. What do you think your answer is? Like, if someone's looking at me and they're thinking, core blimey, that's a pretty woman. I mean, I'm sure I would be a pretty woman in drag, but you know. If someone's looking at me, then like, I don't think their sexuality is for women. That's all I'm saying, like, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, they said that, and that was a very interesting thing that came up. So yeah, they proceeded to ask the most awkward possible questions and kept asking me like, so, but your girlfriend, she's a lesbian, right? I was like, my girlfriend's bisexual, but if she was a straight woman, it wouldn't matter, because even though I may be built a different way, I'm just a guy with extra steps. and so that's what I was trying to tell him. And then he basically kept nearly accidentally mentioning it to all the other members in our workshop team. And once I told him, I was like, no, I immediately regret, like, you know, telling anyone whatever. And there was this other guy, and he's basically very blunt, self-diagnosed sociopath. I don't know if he's actually been diagnosed, but he's very blunt, logical person. And I was like, oh gosh, I don't want to tell him. He's gonna absolutely rip the shit out of me with like jokes and stuff. So I was like, I don't really want to tell him. But then the guy basically at one point said in front of him about me being trans, and the guy was a bit confused, but he kind of moved on. I was like, oh, I can't be asked for this. So I just told the other guy, I was like, because it was coming up in the topic of conversation about me being queer and stuff, and the other guy who knew I was trans, the original guy, was, you know, mentioned it out loud. So I was like, yeah, I was born a female. When I was 18, I was a female, there we go. But I'm a dude. but I was born assigned female at birth, so, you know, biologically speaking, whatever. And so he was like, okay. I mean, he also broke. I don't know what it is about people that just like, but I discovered that I was the first like trans person they'd really known. However, one of them, which very confuses me how he reacted to it, one of them has known like trans women, like a few, like 3 different trans people, but I was like, must have been the first proper person they'd asked about it because they had no clue how to interact with me. It was ridiculous how little of a clue they knew of how to like interact with a trans person. And then a lot of things happened that pissed me off, and I'm not, you know, it's not their fault that they have no clue, but as my friend said, my friend Becca, who's a very close friend of mine at uni, she said, yeah, they may not have been taught about trans people, but they were taught respect. Which is very true. Becca never made me feel uncomfortable with it, never asked until like we're really close friends, never asked any uncomfortable questions. Neither did most of my other friends unless I told them, yo, you can ask. Whereas they were asking without me saying, yo, you can ask. Like the guy who's a very logical guy, he basically said to me, oh, so what's your birth name? Not birth name, it was like, what was your name originally then? And as I said in like a video with Jackson, with like Jack, the last time I went over there, literally, if someone says to me, oh, I know this is an awkward question to ask, like, you don't have to answer it, but out of curiosity, what is your birth name? Then I'd probably answer. I mean, I did answer him because I don't care about my birth name, but I did say to this guy, I said, don't ask trans people that because that's rude. But my name was Tia, and I actually really like the name, so that's why I say it. I'm not like, I like it, but not for me. And so I say my name and stuff, and then they go on, and they're discussing between each other whether it's technically lesbian if I have sex with my girlfriend. And the guy next to me is like, yeah, but technically it is lesbian when you have sexual intercourse because you're of the same sex. And then I said to him, I went, okay, right, okay, so what about when I'm having sex with a guy, if a guy's having sex with me? And they were like, yeah, but it's technically straight. And they were discussing between them if it was straight or not if I have sex with a guy, right? And then, so I say to the guy next to me, I went, okay, so you're straight, right? Would you want to have sex with me? As in, like, it doesn't matter about attraction, whatever things. Would you want to have sex with me fundamentally, or do you think another straight guy would want to have sex with me? He goes, no, because you're a guy. I was like, touche. Touche. And I was like, and he was like, touche, very true. And we didn't discuss it again. But all these kind of jokes come up all the time, and like things that people say that they obviously have not been taught anything about it, and that is why trans awareness is very important. So you're not saying these weird things. Like, if people knew about it already, they wouldn't have to ask me all the most awkward questions. The only reason why I took all their questions was that so another trans person wouldn't have to take their awkward questions. And this is something I've found a lot. People find out I'm trans, and whether it be the dating wise, like they'll find out, they'll be like, oh no, it's fine. Then they'll ask me the most awkward questions, and then they'll end up like unmatching me or just like ghosting me. That thing happens a lot in the trans community. Or whether it's people just like, they can treat me completely different after they find out I'm trans. And that is why, and I hate this because I've never been someone to hide myself or purposely go stealth. I just don't mention it unless it comes up in conversation. But I do feel like now, after having this experience, I don't want to mention it to other people because I'm going to get treated differently. I'm going to get treated like I'm like stupid or something. And that's what I am doing really well in uni, and like I work really hard. And the other day the same group said to me, they were like, oh well, you're the one to follow here, and we were talking about labs, because I was getting higher lab marks than a lot of the people in my group. Like, I'm not a dumb person. I still have a lot of work to go for me to be an intelligent person, I'm sure, but like I'm not, but I feel like people treat me lesser intelligence-wise, if they find out I'm either queer or trans. It's like they're like, you go down a level. But no, I'm an intelligent person, and yeah, it's annoying that people treat me differently as soon as I say so. Now I'm just not going to mention it to anyone unless like I feel comfortable mentioning it to them, as in like, I used to just mention it freely because it wasn't like a big deal, but now I realise people do treat you differently. And I remember I knew that from the first day I joined uni. First day, went to uni, I got really drunk, I wore a shirt that said, this is what trans looks like. Not my type of shirt I would usually wear out, but I forgot I had it on when I went out, so I zipped up a hoodie. And I left a hoodie open, and for once I forgot about it. And me and a bunch of like my other friends, we were going to go spoons with this group of guys. And then one of the leaders of the group of guys, he saw my shirt and he went, "You're not coming into spoons with us if you're wearing that." So I knew that was the first few hours I'd gotten into uni, into my accommodation. So I knew that I should have known then it was probably not best to mention things. But anyway, this is me ranting on for like way too long again. Please let me know what you think about the need for trans awareness, because this is why I say if you can help, donate to this charity, because they're helping out with awareness and mental health and everything like that. Go check out Beyond Retro, which have this really amazing like clothing line. I absolutely love their style. I need to buy some stuff from there. And thank you for watching, because I don't know, it's just very important at the moment, and I just wish it wasn't like I was some kind of weird new entity, because it's possible to not treat me like I'm different because I'm trans or because I'm queer. It's very possible, because most of my friends, like all of my friends, do that. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. I will make some more comedic, less dramatic, less story time sad videos in the future. I'm gonna get some laddie reacts back, gonna make some funnier ones, more upbeat, maybe some science ones. I've just been run down with uni, so thank you for being patient with me and sticking along with the channel. I love you all. See ya. Bye. Do 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 do. Do 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 na 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 la 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 la